wedlock, so I was not married. And I felt that growing up in church, that was wrong. You were not supposed to be an unwed mother, let alone a teenage mother. And so I felt that I needed to be married to my son's father. And I went down that road. There were many signs that God showed me that I probably should not have gone that direction. But I decided to make choices. So we know that God gives us free will, and He gives us the free will to choose. And we can either choose to follow the path that He's laid out for us, especially when you know it and you know what is required in His Word, or you can choose the path to follow what you think is right. And I chose to follow what I wanted to do because I had grown up in church. I had more than enough of going to church every day, every week with my grandmother. But when I turned 18, it was you strike out on your own. I ain't got to do nothing that anybody tells me to do but myself. And that was the start of me heading down the wrong road and going into the wrong direction. That direction did lead to me being married, and I ended up in, I won't say the most horrible of marriages, but I did end up in a bad marriage, which led me not only to be in a bad marriage and have to go through a lot of emotional abuse, never really physical abuse, but emotional abuse, and then an illness. And the illness was one of the deepest things that sent me into a spiral of depression. It sent me into a place of feeling worthless. It sent me into a place of feeling alone. And I felt that no one could understand what I was going through. So I ended up over a 10-year span of depression and some other things with a 10-year illness. Illness that landed me in a hospital at least once a month, every day, for 10 years. And on top of being in the hospital or going to the emergency room at least once every month, I ended up with 8 major surgeries where I have scars that no one can see except for me, my family, my husband. And when people look at me, they don't understand what I've been through, or they do not know what I've been through, so they look at me now as this happy person, as this person who's succeeding at some things, but they do not know what came with that or what was behind that. And what is behind that is a lot of scars that God has turned into something beautiful. So I was reading the other day, and it was a Bible plan, and it talked about the Japanese, and I don't know if I can say the word right, but it's Kinitsu, which basically is where they take broken pottery and they infuse it with rare metals such as gold or silver, and they make it into something that is more beautiful because of the brokenness the broken state that it was in, that has now been mended with these rare and precious metals, that it's one of the most beautiful things that they can have as far as something that people want to buy and have as decorative pieces or for whatever reasons that they can have it. And I feel like that is what God has done with me. He's taken what was completely broken in me and He has turned it into something else. Now that doesn't mean that doesn't come with everyday struggles and everyday trials, because it's been a trial just in the last 2 to 3 weeks to get to this point. And I know that when the enemy starts to move, and he starts to move as heavily as he has, that means that God is doing something. So I have, for the last 3 weeks, said to myself that I was going to cancel this conference every day. I said that. But there was like this little spark in the inside that when I said I'm giving this up, it says, no, you're not. This is going to be something exciting. This is going to be something that is great. So in the midst of what God has built and what He has done in changing who I am, He has given me a hope that sometimes I can't even believe it. I don't even understand the hope that I have to hold on to him, to hold on to life, to hold on to the things that he has given me. When I look back at where he brought me from, I was in a state where I wanted to commit suicide. And I had enough pills in my home, pain pills, to do that if that was what I wanted, if I chose to do it. But I thank God for his grace, because there was a path that was already laid out for me to know him. Even though I may not have known him fully, I knew enough to know that if you commit suicide, then there was a sure path to where you was going, and I didn't want to go there. So I may not have had the full fear of God to walk in the ways that he said to walk, but I did have enough fear in him to know that there were some things that I should not do, even though I did everything else. So I thank God, just for his saving grace, and I thank God as I cried out to him in the midst of depression. I mean, this was a depression that when it was getting close to being dark outside, I needed to be in the house. I couldn't even be outside after dark, and there was nothing that was there to stop me or to hold me back, but it just didn't matter. I didn't want to be outside of my home where I didn't feel safe for whatever reasons. That also led to me, and I'm just going to be transparent, because this is what God has given me to do. I was a functioning dopehead. I didn't do hard drugs, but I smoked weed like it was nobody's business. And I kept it hidden because I knew that it was the wrong thing for me to do. But it was the way that I got through every day. If I did that, then I didn't have to focus on anything else that was going wrong in my life. And it took a long time for me to even be able to get out of that. So that mixed with pain pills every day and the amount of pain that was unbearable, pain that I couldn't take. There were times my mother came, she got to see, I had friends and family members that I would give razor blades to and ask them to cut. I would ask them to cut parts of me because it was so much pain. And I couldn't afford to always go to the emergency room and have them do it. And then have them on top of that, not even understand what I was going through. There were times that I went to the emergency room and what they told me was, there's nothing we can do for you. You just don't have to live with it. And they would send me home. But I knew that there was something that they could do. They didn't understand the God that I was not even yet serving. That he had a plan, and that was not something that I was going to have to live with. That was not something that I was going to have to die with. So I do want to say today that God took me through some things. First, he led me into a place where I can build a relationship with him. And that was back in 2010. He took me to a church, and he used a friend to bring me there. And she would come by, she would leave little notes in my mailbox. She would come in, and I would take her notes and throw them in the trash. When she would come, I would go to, I was like the most rebellious person that you could come across. To the point where when she walked up to my car window, I'd call her out of her name and tell her to get away from my window. I don't want to have anything to do with you. But I love the way that God does not give up on me. And I thank her every opportunity that I get. I thank her because she got saved, and then she was in pursuit, and she didn't give up. Because the way that I treated her, she could have stopped coming after me. But God showed me that was who he needed to use to come. So when God finally got me to a point where I would be able to sit down and listen to her, she came to see me. And I was in the hospital when she came to see me. And she told me that she literally thought that I would kick her out of my room. But I was no longer in that place. I had cried out to God for so long that there was nothing I could do but to give him. And whatever his plan was and whatever he wanted to do, I needed to allow him to do that if I wanted any type of healing. So I did allow God to do that. And he took me to a place, and my sister and my brother are here who were there from the beginning when I came in, all bandaged up and bruised and broken and torn down, where they had to put pads in a seat for me to be able to sit down in a service every Sunday. But God has people that he will use to show you that type of love. That they will place a chair for me with a seat and a cushion where I could be comfortable, even in as much pain as I was in, to be a part of the service. So being there, God also, he moved in some things, and I ended up, I'm going to say it wasn't even a full 2 years, maybe? I don't even know how long it was. But God removed me from the situation that I was in. And during the last, when I got to that church, I was in the last few surgeries that I had to go through. And when I went through those surgeries, my last surgery was in February of 2010. And the wounds in 2011 were still open. It was something that I had to take care of on a day-to-day basis. Every day, I had to nurse open wounds that would not heal. And it wasn't until one day that God told me to remove myself from the situation. Don't take anything but yourself and your children. And that is a hard thing to do when you don't have anything. And all you know is in one place, and he tells you to leave that behind. But when God tells you to leave something behind, he has something greater ahead for you. And he will never, he said, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. That is God's honest truth. And I am a living witness and a testimony that God, that is exactly what he will do. If he tells you to put something down, put it down. Put it down. Because he has something greater for you. If he tells you to pick something else up, pick it up. Because there is something in that when he gives you something to do. So I did what he told me to do, and to not draw the story out, but to make a long story short, God removed me from that situation. And within, this was the end of August, and I ended up having to stay with a friend. And I stayed with her for a couple of months. I slept in a chair in her bedroom while my children shared beds with her kids. And the 1st of November of the same year, God allowed me to have my own place. And before the end of that month, every wound that I had closed. And this was open wounds that were over a year and a half that had been open and just would not close. Within a month, being in a place that God had for me and having peace, they closed. So I know the miracle working power of God. When he says that he will do a thing, he will do it. There was nothing that doctors could do. There was nothing that nurses could do. There was nothing that I could do on my own. It took God to do it. So that brought me a couple years later to some other things that God said that I needed to do. And when I did that, 2 years later, Hidden God was birthed. It began. And I thank God, that that was one of the things that he's called me to. And even when he called me to it and I began it, it was not something that I was very thankful for. For 3 years, I went back and forth with it because it wasn't working out the way that I thought that it should. It wasn't moving the way that I thought that it should. So I would put it down and go tend to something else. And when he said pick it back up, I'd pick it back up for a short time, and then I'd go off and I'd do something else. When God has something destined for your life and purpose for you, you cannot get away from it. You can run, you can't hide. So there's no saying you can run and hide, because you can't hide from God. He is everywhere and he sees everything. You can run as long as you want to run, but at some point you either gonna get tired of running and you're gonna surrender, or not to say it in a bad way, but you won't be. So you can either follow the plan that God has for you, or your own plan, which leads to destruction. So I thank God that he had enough grace and enough mercy, and he loved me enough to keep drawing me back to what he asked me to do and what he had started in me. So after a couple, the 3 years, I just decided to give in. I decided to give in. And I gave in because obedience is better than sacrifice. It is better than sacrifice. Sacrificing, it's temporary. You may get some temporary satisfaction, but you best believe that there are still consequences even to just a sacrifice. I mean, I'm even learning that there are things that we do that we think are good. Yes, we're doing good things. We're out here doing good things. But if those good things are not the things that God has called you to and he did not tell you to do, they are not good in his eyes. You can sacrifice and say, I'm doing this for the greater good. If you're not doing it because God told you to, it will ultimately fail. I don't care what kind of physical success you see in that, it will ultimately fail if it is not what God has called you to. And he will allow you to go through some things and bump your head. And I have bumped mine so many times trying to do what I wanted to do instead of doing what he wanted me to do. And every time I hit a wall. I've hit so many walls, I don't even know how I still stand. But it is only by the grace of God that I am able to stand and yet do the things that he has called me to do, because that is what he wanted. And he loves us enough to give you that time and let you learn a few lessons. And those lessons were not just to be lessons, they were to make me stronger. And it makes me stronger for the task ahead, the things that lie ahead that God has for me to do. And I had to learn that it's not even just about me. This is for somebody else who's going through something and they don't know how to get out. They don't know that they can go through an abusive relationship and that they can get out and God can have something greater for them. I prayed for a husband that was unlike the husband that I had, and many people didn't understand why I went the route that I went. They didn't understand why I would be with somebody who also was going through a physical illness. But the thing is, they didn't know my story. They didn't know that I had been through surgeries. They didn't know that I had things cut for me, because you can't see them. And God used me in my place for somebody who was going through that, and to give him somebody who will understand what he's going through. Because there are times that he's going through things that I can understand because I've been there. And I can tell him, baby, I suffer from that. I know what that's like. I know how the depressed days come and you don't want to do anything. You don't want to get out of your bed, because I was bedridden for 3 months with a child that I had to try to climb 16 stairs. Yes, I counted 16 stairs, because it took me 45 minutes to get up those 16 stairs just to go to the bathroom. 45 minutes for 16 stairs. And it was because I was left alone. And then on top of having to climb those stairs, I had a toddler who was in the midst of potty training. So when I got through climbing those 16 stairs for myself, I had to climb those 16 stairs again to take her to the bathroom, or either have her not be potty trained. And what do? You either give in and give up, or you can press on and you can keep going. So therein lies inspiration. Therein lies a passion. My passion back then was to live. My passion was to be free from the medications that I had to take every day just to get up and be able to walk. People didn't know that I went to work on Vicodin, swirling, dragging, because that was the only way that I could function. And I did. I asked the question, Lord, why do I have to stay on this medication? I don't want to have to take this type of medication every day. I mean, they gave me stuff where the pain was so severe that they began to combine things. I'm taking Percocet and wearing a pain patch that people right now are using for drugs, and they dying and overdosing from this drug, fentanyl. They died from that. They taking that as a drug, but I had to wear that in a patch for 3 days. And take morphine. They gave me pills to take home because my pain was that severe. I had to go see an infectious disease doctor because I've been cut on so many times. It's easy for me to get an infection whether I got a cut in my body or not. How it gets there is beyond me. It's not even for me to know. Because if it happens, I know that God will heal me the same way He's healed me before. So I thank God that yes, there are people who don't get off of the drugs that they're on. They don't get off on the pain medications that they're on. Those become drug addicts, and they become drug addicts, and they look for something stronger each time to fix a high that they were feeling that started from maybe an accident, something small, and they had to take pain medication, and now they're addicted to it. And I took it for years, and God healed me from that. I don't so much take, if anything, ibuprofen, and it's got to be bad for me to do that. And not because it's addiction, I just don't feel that I need to do that. My pain tolerance is very high because of all the pain that I suffered for over 10 years. So that was my passion then. And on top of that, there were passions that were inside that I had put away because my life, I felt that anything that I wanted in a career, education, all that was on hold because life was happening for me. And they had me in a place where I didn't care about any of that. I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't comb my hair. I didn't dress up. I didn't do any of those things. And I didn't realize in the depressed state, they tell you in a doctor's that it was stress. Okay, I know I'm stressed out. I know that I'm stressed out. But we don't understand what stress can do to you, what it can do to your body. And there is nobody in my family. They kept saying, oh, this is prone to bigger people. Well, I don't understand that issue because I'm the smallest person in my family. So y'all gonna have to tell me something different. I am the smallest person in my family, and nobody has suffered through this. They said it's hereditary. Yes, I have family members on my father's side who have some of the same issues, but nobody to the extent that I have. Well, Lord, why is that? Because he had a different plan for me. He had a deeper plan for me. He has some things that he wants me to do to even be the one that will save my family. And you sitting in this room, God has a plan for you. Some things that he wants to do in your life for you to save your family. Those that you may not even talk to, it don't matter. He has a plan for you to save some of them. And he wants to use you to do that. He has other people that you've not ever even met that he wants to use you to be an inspiration for them to wonder, who is this man that they serving? In order for them to, how do I get with you, God? How do I get out of the situation that I'm in? How do I build a career? How do I, go back to school when I'm so low? If I can do it, because I never thought that I would go to college. Have a degree, me, that wasn't, I could not see that, but he did. And I was told that I was going back to school. When they told me, I'm like, because I can't pass the math class. It was as simple as that. I can't pass the math class. I don't like math. And I used to stay out of school. But God did it anyway. And I got through math classes. Now, do I want to go back for a master's in math class? No, I don't. I will take any other class you bring to me. I just don't want to have to take math class. But that's me. But my passion was in computers. My passion lied in computers. I had this thing where I could stay up for 36 hours straight on the computer figuring out how it worked. That was my passion. That's what God gave me, and that led to a lot of things. Everything that you see in Hidden and I, everything that you see in Maxi Fashions, everything that you see my hand that has anything to do with design or computers is from my passion. And that was a passion that God gave me. So I know each and every one of you have a passion, something that is so deeply embedded in you that you love and you love to do. That is your passion. And I'm sure your purpose has a lot to do with it. Everything is not, our purpose is not all inside of four walls. There are people on the outside that we need to see and that we need to talk to. That purpose, our purpose is outside. It's outside of four walls. But we come into the four walls so that we can be filled up in order to go out and fulfill that purpose. And there's a potential inside of every one of us. Things that we don't think that we can do, we have the potential already down on the inside of us to do. We've already been equipped with it. It's already there. It just has to be pulled out of us. And it is your passion and your purpose that will pull the potential out. You'll know what you can do when you're put in situations that you have to do it. Did I think that I could accomplish it? I think that I could stand here and tell people my story? I didn't think that anybody should know my story because it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to have the royal things that I had to have these scars. I wouldn't even wear a tank top or a shirt with my arms out because I was embarrassed for people to see my scars. But yet I have a husband who can walk around and he can knock on his legs and make jokes about it with no issues. If he can do that, why can't I? I look to encourage other people with issues every day, but yet couldn't show my own. Why should they be healed? Because there's somebody else out there that has them same scars that may not be visible. They don't have to be physical scars. They could be emotional scars. They could be mental scars that they're hiding, that they just need somebody else to say, hey, I got that. I've been through that. And not have to be too serious about it. And then they can get over it. So I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. Woo, I felt like I've been here a very long time. But I just wanted to be able to share that with you. Each one of us has passions. And I want to believe that each of us knows what our passions are. And if we are not pursuing those passions, we need to. And that passion leads to your purpose, knowing what your purpose is. And the purpose of this conference is for us to discover that. So if we don't know, if there is something that we don't know that maybe has been in our spirits or in our hearts that we think that we need to do, we are women here to share that with each other. There are resources in this room. There are women who may know something that another woman does not know and are being included. That if we just open up our mouth and say, hey, I got this issue, or I'm kind of looking for a word of advice or wisdom on this, you don't know who in this room may have that to share with you. And that connects another piece to you, to your purpose and your potential. So I thank you all for listening to me. A short break if anybody needs to go to the bathroom, but we have one more speaker. Sister Serena Williams. She is an awesome woman. She does the Michiana Women's Conference, where she connects women all over the Michiana area in helping them find the love of God, find what it is that they, what Christ has for them. And I love the way that she's doing it. We've had many opportunities to sit and talk and connect with each other, and I just love what God is doing, not only in me, but in her also. This is the time for us to come together, and there could be such a mighty move of God, and not just in us being in one place, but out and about, having women just, breaking some strongholds off of these women out here who are in desperate need. They are in desperate need, and we are the ones holding the keys to a breakthrough from them. We are holding the keys to their deliverance. We are holding the keys to them being saved, set free. And we need to go out with those keys standing and ready to unlock some doors for these women, because somebody unlocked them for us. I know I'm not the only one in this room who has gone through some things. I know that we have all gone through some things, and somebody has unlocked those doors for us. Now we have to unlock these doors for other women. There are women that are assigned to every